Let's talk about paying yourself and running your business with the money that it's now bringing in, shall we? This is prop money, by the way. When it comes to paying yourself, there's a lot of things that can be kind of scary or make you feel like you're doing the wrong thing. So let's clear some of that up in today's video. So first things first, you do not have a business unless it is bringing in cash. Now, it doesn't have to be profitable just yet. It just needs to be bringing in money. So everybody thinks that if they start an LLC or they have a brand or they have a website, it means they have a business finally. But actually, in the eyes of the law, there is no business until there is some cash coming in, because that's the only time the tax man cares about your business. That's also the only time clients can sue you, because if you're not making any money, then what are they going to come after? Your dog? Now, there is one exception to this, which is if you have any kind of partners or partnership in your business, that is, you're doing business with at least one other person, could be 5 other people, could be 10, could be just one. If that is the case, then it is important for you to consider that LLC or other legal entity to get you set up so that you're not a default partnership. An LLC just transfers the liability, and that's just fancy legal term for basically who's at fault if something happens. It just transfers that fault from you, because you'll be liable for your partner's actions if you're in a partnership. It transfers it from you to the LLC. So when we have a partnership, the eyes of the law see you and your partner as the same exact person. So whatever your partner does, if they steal all the money from the business, they rip people off, they're a scam artist, they hit someone while they're drunk driving, all of those things are as if you did them yourself in the eyes of the law. We want to get rid of that because we don't want to be responsible for someone who does something without our knowledge, or just maybe they're not a good person. But either way, we want to just make sure that we are putting that liability on the business. And the way to do that is, instead of just having a partnership by default, which is what you will be if you start a business with any other people or person when you get started, then we want to start that LLC. So it transfers that liability, it transfers that fault over to the LLC and not to us or our partners. Phew, okay, now that that's out of the way, we have to actually talk about paying yourself. An LLC can also be helpful in the sense that if it helps you to set up your business checking accounts or get some debit cards going for your business, that's a huge bonus. But even if you haven't done that yet, let's just say that 90% of you who are watching this video are going to be sole proprietors, which is just the default. If you don't know what you are, you haven't formed anything yet, you're probably a sole prop. What that means is that you really need to take special care to make sure that you have a separate checking account for your business. Now, a business checking account is always preferred, but if that's just too much work, or you don't know how to set that up, or your bank is telling you you need an EIN or an LLC, and you're just like, whoa, like I just want to do things the right way, I don't want to get in trouble, this is too much work, then no worries, you can always just open up a separate checking account and then transfer it to a business account later when you feel a little bit more confident, have a little bit more expertise under your belt. The only real benefit to a business checking account is that it's going to allow you to write bigger checks and also accept bigger checks. And if you have any cash in your business, the business checking account is the only thing that's going to allow you to accept those huge cash deposits, versus a personal account is going to have a much lower monthly limit on the amount of cash you can bring in. Let's assume that you have a checking account, whether it's a business or another personal checking account, and it's receiving the revenue that the business makes. That could be revenue collected through Stripe or PayPal or Square or cash or check or whatever. But you have it all going into a nice little pot of money. And when I first started my business, this is so funny because I graduated from law school and I didn't pay myself once I started making money for like a month and a half. And I was like, I just don't know how. Like, I don't even know how. Like, do I write myself a check? Do I transfer money? Do I have to like set up payroll? I had no idea what to do. And it all comes down to just simply conveying money from your business's checking account into your personal checking account. So that could happen by check, it could happen by transfer, it could happen by payroll service. All 3 of those things would have been the correct answer. I just didn't know that all 3 of them were options. I thought you had to have someone else transfer the money for you, like via payroll. But that is not correct. You can simply write yourself a check out of that new checking account you have, or you can do a transfer, like an ACH transfer between those accounts. The only thing you want to make sure that you're doing if you are doing a transfer or a check is making sure you keep those checking accounts balanced so you don't overdraw them. And also, if it's possible, making a little note like on the check or in the ACH line, the note line, if there is one, just making some kind of note about why you were distributing that money from the business's checking account to you. My favorite way to make sure all this happens smoothly every single time for you is to set up an automatic transfer when you know that you have enough of a reserve to pay yourself and you're bringing in a consistent amount of business to keep filling that reserve back up. For example, if you decide to pay yourself $2,000 a month or $500 a week or whatever that looks like for you, if you wanted to set up that automatic transfer, you know exactly what that's for every single week when you come back to do your bookkeeping. Plus, you know you're going to be paid on a regular, consistent basis. And so I know that's not possible for some of you as you are getting started. Like sometimes it's just more like a roller coaster than a steady influx of cash or clients that you're dealing with. And if that's the case, then just make sure that you are padding enough in both directions. There is a great book called Profit First, and honestly, I think his system is a little bit complicated, but I do like the idea of having at least 2 different bank accounts for your business, a checking and a savings, so that not everything is coming out of the checking account and going into it as well. Make sure that you can set some kind of little reserve up for your business. That way you always know that no matter what, you have future expenses covered. And I know this can be somewhat of a sacrifice as you are starting your business and it's like everything is costing you money and you still aren't paying yourself, and it's like this cycle, right? But if you can just set aside $5, $10, $20 every single week into the savings account, slowly it will begin to add up and you'll have a nice cash reserve for any kind of recession or anything else that might come your way in the years to come. Another smart idea as you're getting all these automatic transfers and payments and everything set up, and again, I like to do this over the course of a couple of weeks. I know you're watching this video all in one sitting, but I like to do everything I'm talking about here over the course of a couple of weeks because I just find it really overwhelming to get all these things set up and transferred and automated and all that kind of stuff in one afternoon. That's just like, that's a little too much for me. So if that's how you're feeling right now, just remember you can always come back to this video, maybe bookmark it, put it in your bookmark bar, and just replay it when you need to remember what you need to do. So after you've set up your business checking account, you're sending yourself automated deposits, you're getting paid on a regular basis, the next thing to do would make sure to have some kind of reserve for your taxes. And this is conservatively between 25 to 40%, depends how risky or how much cash flow you want to have on hand, right? If you want more cash flow, then you can put aside 25%. If you are just like, I want to be, I want to make sure every I is dotted and every T is crossed, then you can go ahead and put aside a little bit more. At 40%, you'll probably have a lot of money left over when it comes time for taxes, but that's okay. It's just kind of like an extra savings account for you, or you can take a distribution at that time and enjoy all the extra money that you put aside. And bonus points if you set aside an account for your expenses on a monthly basis. So if you know that your contractors or software or whatever is going to cost you a certain amount every single month, then you can start to put that money aside into kind of a short-term savings account. So we've basically talked about 4 different accounts. Profit First, that book I referenced earlier, they talk about 5 different accounts for you to open. But the 4 that I like to have are just like a general operating account. That's kind of where all the money comes in. It's like where it all pools. A tax savings account where I put money aside for taxes. A general savings account to make sure that I have enough money on hand for those slower months or where cash flow is a little compromised that month because sales are low or the economy is in a recession or whatever's happening. And the last account I like to have is that expenses account. So any kind of expenses, any software on an annual or monthly basis, any kind of contractors that are sending you invoices, you can go ahead and pay them out of your expenses account, knowing that you're not touching that overall savings that you're compiling on the back end. We have covered so much so far in this video, and I know it's a little bit overwhelming, but you know what'll make it feel a little less overwhelming? If you give this video a thumbs up, you click it, you're gonna get a little burst of colorful explosions on that like button, and it's really gonna help me out as far as the YouTube algorithm, and especially if you can share this or leave a comment, that's like even better. I love, love, love responding to your comments, and so if you have any further questions about how to pay yourself or anything that needs clarification, make sure you drop something below. I'd love to have a chat. I hope this video has been super helpful today. Thank you for watching all the way to the end, and don't forget to binge watch the other videos on this channel because they are available for you 24/7 to give yourself a free legal learning education as far as starting your business or running it smoothly. Thank you so much for watching. Bye everyone.